Guys, my name is Will Taylor. Like I said, with Chick-fil-A at the Fashion Square in Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm also a leadership development coach. Um, and I've been with Chick-fil-A for about 9 years now, actually. I started in September 2009. And I'm excited about this call because one of my passions is helping prepare the next generation of entrepreneurs for whatever entrepreneurial endeavor that they are called to. And so that's been one of my passions. Probably one of the things that I think it's going to be a lifelong, you know, calling for myself. I mean, even beyond Chick-fil-A, is that I'm going to recruit and try to look for people like yourselves and train you and help hopefully develop you so you can fully reach your potential in whatever industry you choose to be an entrepreneur in. Um, but just a little bit more background about myself. I am from Greenville, North Carolina. Um, Drew's parents are my uncle and aunt. Not by blood. I found out when I was 16. Actually, I didn't know that until I was 16. I grew up calling them uncle and aunt, and we've done a lot of things together as a family. So they are my uncle and aunt, and and his dad and mom are actually are my me and Erica's mentors as well. And so but I went to school at J. Rose High School in Greenville, went to North Carolina Central University in Durham, North Carolina, from 2003 to 2007, and studied business management. However, I really enjoyed marketing more. And so after I joined this marketing program at North Carolina Central, when it was when AT&T Wireless was called Singular at the time, um, there was a program that allowed me to start working with AT&T once they acquired Singular Wireless. And so I moved down to Atlanta, worked with AT&T, and then moved out to Indianapolis, where I was a business account manager on behalf of AT&T. Um, but here's one thing that I noticed um, when I joined AT&T out in Indianapolis was a lot of the guys on my sales team were passionate about technology, passionate about cell phones, and the iPhone had just come out, so there was a lot of excitement around that, and they were studying it and always researching and reading about it. Um, it was not one of my passions, and I think that's one of the first keys of entrepreneurship is figuring out what your passion is, and then going wholeheartedly after that. And I was passionate about business. I wanted to own my own business. I wanted to do something in entrepreneurial, and AT&T was not allowing me to exercise my entrepreneurial muscles, if you will. And so I honestly, I mean, one of the questions that you guys posted on the email that you sent me was, how do you take that first step? Well, I just took a step. I left AT&T cold turkey and went on a little sabbatical, cashed in my whatever 401k I acquired, I had accrued up until that point. I cashed it out and went on like a 6 month hiatus or like a little sabbatical, trying to do some soul searching about what I really wanted to do. And that's when I discovered Chick-fil-A. I'd eaten at Chick-fil-A before, but did not ever look at it as a business opportunity. So three different occasions throughout my sabbatical, I met three different people who were unrelated to each other, and they all mentioned Chick-fil-A to me. Say, "Hey, have you ever thought about Chick-fil-A?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I haven't." But you're the third person that's told me that. So let me look into that. And I knew I wanted something that was somewhat recession proof. And not, I mean, nothing is 100% recession proof, but I did know that people have to eat, and that even in a down economy, people still want to entertain themselves doing something, going to the movies or whatever it might be. So I looked at, you know, I had big dreams. Okay, so just listen. I looked at maybe getting a movie theater, and having being in that kind of space, owning my own movie theater, or figuring that out, or restaurant. And I just said, you know what? I'm not as passionate about. I mean, I love movies. I'm a big movie head. Eventually I'm going to have my own theater in my own house, but um, I'm not as passionate about movies as I am about just networking, meeting people, and helping them develop in their leadership. And so I said, where is a company where I can do that at? So I looked at Steak and Shake, looked at Quiznos, God kept me out of those, and I'm so glad He did, because Quiznos is, I think, almost completely bankrupt, and Steak and Shake is doing pretty good, but they're 24/7. And I knew that long term, I wanted to have I wanted to have a day off, eventually, and didn't want to have to worry about the business 24/7. So Chick-fil-A, like I said, those three people mentioned it to me. I went to a local operator in Indianapolis, Indiana, and said, "Hey, I want to become an operator. What do I do?" And I think I didn't like his answer, because he told me I had to start out as a team member on the front counter, working in the dining room, cleaning bathrooms. So I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I got a degree, man. Come on, And so I left, left there a little discouraged. But a couple months later, I went back, and I humbled myself, and I actually started out as a team member in September of 2009, I think I was making at that time $9 an hour, and it was not paying my bills at all. But I worked, and and um, and was engaged to my wife at the time as well. And 3 months later, he promoted me to manager, and so I managed his freestanding location. So a freestanding location is one that is a standalone operation with a drive-through. So I managed that location for a year. Then he also owned a mall location as well. So I managed his mall location for a year. And then I got an opportunity to work at Chick-fil-A corporate in their, it's called the interim manager program. And it's a program that if you don't have a lot of leadership or business experience, they'll take you through a process where you will actually learn leadership skills, learn restaurant management skills, and then they will actually give you the reins of some of their corporate owned locations. And so I managed their corporate owned locations for about 2 years. And in the midst of that 2 year time frame, I, the restaurant where I'm currently at became available. So in the Chick-fil-A franchise system, you are basically an operating partner. Okay, so you're not like whereas McDonald's, may have a group that comes together and purchases maybe the rights to own 50 McDonald's or 100 McDonald's, or same thing with Little Caesars. I know a guy that's raising funds to buy 400 Little Caesar restaurants, and so that's not how Chick-fil-A works. Chick-fil-A says, look, we're going to buy the location or the real estate, then we're going to buy the equipment. Okay, we're going to finance the whole entire project, but we want you to be the boots on the ground. We want you to build the brand, get involved in the community. We want you to just sell as much as you can, and we'll split the net profits 50-50 with you. And that's how Chick-fil-A works. And what happens is if you're in a mall and you have an opportunity to go outside the mall, you take it. And because the standalone restaurants do probably about 4 to 5 times the amount that a mall location does typically. Almost in every scenario. And so this particular operator that was before me got an opportunity to move to Arizona and take over a standalone location there. And so it opened up the door for me. And I knew I wanted to get in at some level. And so I said, look, if my wife is from this area, I really would love to be closer to her family. Charlottesville is only 4 hours away from my family in North Carolina. Indianapolis is where my home store was. I was like, I don't really want to go back to Indianapolis. Because let me back up one more step here. The program is a 2-year program. And so if you don't get selected to become a owner operator within that 2-year time frame, you go back to your home store. And I said I didn't want to go back to my home store. So I said, if this store in Charlottesville is available, I would love to go there as the interim manager and manage it for you, and then hopefully get awarded the opportunity to own it. And that's exactly what happened. I was awarded the opportunity, and have been here since 2014. And we've gone from, I don't mind sharing this information because I want you to really understand a lot of people talk about their success or their struggles after they've reached the pinnacle of what they're trying to reach. I'm not there yet. So you're meeting me smack dab in the middle of my journey towards ultimately becoming a millionaire. and ultimately being able to um, um, fund some of the other passionate or some of the other, business ideas that I want to do. I always tell people first, find a vehicle that can fund your ideas, because a lot of people just want to go straight to the top, and it doesn't work that way. Sometimes you gotta work your way up. I mean, I look at Damon John, the founder of Fubu. I wish he had this technology, because I think he would have shared his journey in the middle of his journey. Right now, he's sharing his journey in the past tense, but a lot of people, I think, need to see what it's like, in the midst of your journey, in the midst of the struggles, And so right now we are, our high sales volume was around 1.6 million, 1.5 million in 2016. But because of the state of retail right now, retail industry is kind of shifting a lot, and due to the internet, and due to Amazon basically kind of becoming the new Walmart, the new General Electric. They're doing everything right now, and they have the backing and the infrastructure to really change the status quo when it comes to retail industry. And so the mall where I am is no longer a convenience. Now people can buy toilet paper on Amazon. I mean, you can buy the same things you can, there's a Gap in my mall. You can go to Gap and buy it, or you can stay at home, buy whatever you want, try it on at home, send it back, and you're good to go. Or you can just return it to that Gap and not have to really walk around the mall. Whereas in the past, people would browse through the mall, and they would get hungry while they're in the mall, so they would come to a Chick-Fil-A and eat or whatever, and then continue to browse. Well, now you don't have to do that. Now our drive-throughs have become more efficient and effective. Roads and everything has become more efficient and effective. Now also we have technology, we have iPads, so now a lot of the Chick-fil-A's have people taking your order on an iPad, so you're moving cars. I mean, I think the highest number of cars per hour in our chain right now is like 250 or something like that, 235 or 40, something like that, cars in an hour, which is crazy. And with a ticket, with an average check average of like $10 a car, or actually per car, about $20 per car. You do the math. I mean, that's that's the way to go. So we've reached a pinnacle of 1.6 million, where about 10% of that, 1.5 million, sorry. I mean, 10% of that was our catering business. The other 90% ended up being people browsing through the mall. Since 2016, though, we've taken a hit. J.C. Penney's, which is one of our anchors in our mall, is taking a hit. They're struggling nationally, nationwide. Sears is struggling nationwide. They're closing more locations, cutting staff. Your Gaps and your J. Crews, they're doing okay, because what they're doing is they're changing their model. Their mall locations are now becoming distribution points. So if you order something online from J. Crew or Gap or Buckle or Lids or whatever the store may be, they will basically look at their stores in the area and say, okay, Drew is in LA. There's a Lids or whatever in LA right down the street from his house. If we can get them at that location to send him the hat that he wants, that'll save us some time. Instead of sending it all the way from the headquarters of Lids is in Indianapolis. So instead of sending it from Indianapolis, their warehouse, they can send it straight from that mall location. So people still don't have to go to the mall to shop. So our sales are starting to dip a little bit. Actually a lot of bit, about 10%, 10-15% actually. And so we're taking a hit right now, and we're struggling. But that's part of it's the nature of the business. So I am actually in the process of transitioning out of the mall and into a freestanding location. So you have to interview all over again, actually, and you got to I'm going to be giving this location back. In some locations, it makes sense for you to have a freestanding location in a mall, but for me, it doesn't make sense, because they're not building another freestanding location in my area anytime soon. So I'm actually looking to move up to Northern Virginia, where they're building multiple locations in different cities up in Northern Virginia, closer to DC, and those stores are doing volumes of anywhere from 4.5 million to 7 million. And so anyways, that's kind of my background. One of my specialties is really helping people or talking through discovering what your passion is, discovering what you want to do as far as what you want to sell, what service you want to provide, and understanding the why behind that. Because if you can understand what your passion is, understand why you like to do it, and then find the right people to do it with you, that is the equation for success, in my opinion. A lot of people think it's all about the product. No, it's not. It's all about finding the right people, developing the right processes. Then those things mesh together will hopefully help produce the right product for your consumer, and which will ultimately end in success. And success looks different for everybody. Okay, success might mean a $7 million Chick-Fil-A restaurant, or it might mean a $1 million consulting business, or a $500,000 Little Caesars, or landscaping company. You know what I'm saying? My thing is this: if you're able to build a company from its inception all the way up to where you're receiving monetary, you're receiving dollars for your service, that's success. Because a lot of people don't take the step to do that. I always tell people one of the most rich places for ideas is a graveyard. Because a lot of people die with so many ideas and have never moved themselves off the couch or never got out of their comfort zone to actually pursue those ideas. So they just die with them. And it's not necessarily about, everybody has the ideas. Ideas come a dime a dozen, but it's all about execution. And so if you're not willing to get off your butt and get out of your comfort zone to hopefully execute one of the ideas, or at least try to execute one of those ideas, then the idea is worth nothing. And so anyways, I'm moving a little bit forward, a little bit too fast, but are there any questions or any questions so far?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for providing that story for us. I think it was very thorough. Touched on a lot of points, and I actually made a couple notes while you were talking on things I'd like to ask.
Yeah.
So part of AIM, really, just to elaborate on who we are. So basically, we're just a group of, it's kind of an informal organization of people who have part-time passion that they want to eventually turn into a full-time venture. Right. So a lot of us are currently in corporate America somewhere, Bank of America, Lockheed Martin, Credit Karma, things of that nature. But eventually we want to own our own business, and that be our so one thing you kind of touched on was the transition you made from AT&T to, I guess you said like a phase of like 6 months where you were exploring and kind of planning the next step. Can you go into detail on that step? Because that's a huge transition, just to like leave the company you've been with 9 years, and just jump in and say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be.
Oh no! So I was on AT&T for a year and a half.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah, I've been with Chick-Fil-A for 9 years now.
Got you.
And so here's my deal too. It's like, look, you guys are young enough. We all can actually. It's so funny. How do you know what kind of food you like unless you're not willing to taste something? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of food out there, but unless you're willing to do some taste testing, you'll never know what your favorite food is. And so I think right now in your 20s is when you're supposed to be doing the taste testing. Now, yes, you have something that's funding your bills, but don't be afraid to start testing or tasting things out there right now in the world. So, okay, you know what? I think I like real estate. Let me look at how to get my real estate license and taste that a little bit. You know what? That's too much math for me. I don't like it. I can't, it's too much, people interaction with that. I don't like that. Okay, let me taste something else. Let me look at this, or let me look at, that. You start tasting things now, because here's the deal. But when you become 30, the market, the job industry, employers are less forgiving. When you're in your 30s, they expect you to have tasted all that you can taste, and you know what you want to do. I'm telling my brother that now, actually. I'm like, Wesley, it's time for you. My brother's named Wesley. He works with me too a little bit up here in Charlottesville. But I know he's I think a year older than you guys actually. He's like 26. But I'm like, look, right now is the time where if you have an idea, keep working your day job, okay? But start getting your feet wet into the entrepreneurial space now. It's like it's almost like swimming. You don't just jump in the deep end right away like I did actually. I jumped right in there, but so you don't just jump right in there if you can help it. I mean, now that's another thing too. Okay, I am I'm a man of faith. I believe I'm a Christian, and so that really directs a lot of my thoughts and my processes and how I do things. And I honestly felt like I was supposed to leave AT&T at that time. And so here's what I'm saying is if you feel strongly and you feel convicted by the faith that you believe in, that you are supposed to do that, and you feel like God is telling you something, then okay, follow that voice. But at the same time, okay, if you already are starting to feel that itch, which I was feeling that beforehand, before I left, start saving. You want to have like 3 to 4 months of income saved up if you can. Do as much research as possible. Start thinking about what your passion is right now and what you really think. What's the next thing you want to taste? Find somebody that's already doing it, and kind of use them as a guinea pig. As okay, what did you do? What did you not do? Like real estate is one of my big passions. Things I want that Chick-Fil-A will be funding once I move on to a bigger, higher volume location. I'm able to make a little more money. I plan on divesting my funds into real estate. I worked at a real estate office when I was in college. I'm still doing that myself. I'm getting as much research and doing it as much learning as possible, so that when the time is right, because here's success is when your opportunity meets preparation. Okay. And so if you're not prepared when the opportunity comes, then your likelihood of success in that particular industry or endeavor that you really are passionate about is non-existent. And so I'm preparing myself now so that when the opportunity and the funds are there, I'm moving full speed. A lot of people just don't wait for that. They say, oh, I need to raise funds, I need to raise money, and you don't need to raise money, because the money is going to be there regardless if the opportunity is right, or if you're prepared. I have some people that want to do some. I know some people that want to do some really, really good things for the world. So my question is I'm like, okay, so if I were to give you $100,000 right now, what would you do with it? You know what? I don't know, actually. You think you could do that? I'm like, I have friends right now that are sitting on millions of dollars right now, waiting for an idea and the right person who's prepared to approach them. And so if you have the money, I mean, like I said, I have a guy who's raising money for a Little Caesars restaurants, and I have a guy who's looking for different real estate projects, multifamily, and he's like, I have the funds. All I want is like a 15% return. I don't want to do any work though. So he's at the age now he doesn't have to work, but he also doesn't want to work, but he wants to make more money. So he's like, well, if you have an idea, if you have a project that you need funding, just I'll be willing to talk to you about that. So I'm like, oh wow, okay, cool. But I'm not 100% prepared yet. You okay? Oh, he's playing. Sorry. So you have to be prepared, and and a lot of people don't take the time to be prepared. Oh, go ahead. A lot of people are not prepared, and so my thing is start preparing yourself now, educating yourself now, so that when the opportunity comes, you can move full speed ahead.
For sure. So in that process where you may be working, your full-time job, wherever it may be, and on the side you're preparing for that thing that you're truly passionate about, how do you stay motivated in that current role or that current season or location that you're in, knowing that to get to where you want to be, it may take you a couple years, or like you said, that $100,000 or $100 million to really get to what you want? How do you stay
Great question. You see this little? Can y'all see this? Can everybody see this?
Yeah, a little bit.
This is a board. Sorry, my son ripped it off the wall one day. This is the board of a property that I want to purchase. Sorry, can't really see right now. But anyways, it's a board of a property that I want to purchase. Out in Indianapolis. Well, actually, this is my property right now. One that I have right now already. But next to it is like a 20 or 23 room apartment complex that I want to purchase one day. Here's my notes and my prayers or some motivation that I have to keep me motivated and keeping my vision alive. But there are three stages of a vision, okay? There's the birth of the vision, then there's the death of the vision, and then there's the fulfillment of the vision. And it's the case. It's the same case with everybody that's as an entrepreneur. Everybody that is, I mean, in every stage of your life, you have this. You want to graduate college. Oh man, I want to go to college. The vision is birthed. I want to go to UNC Charlotte, North Carolina Central, ECU, UNC Wilmington, whatever the college may be. And then you get into the middle of the vision, and you're like, man, I can't do this. This is too hard. My class schedules are too much. I can't do this. And then you start to feel like you can't do it. And then all of a sudden you graduate, the fulfillment. It's like, oh man, I've graduated. Look at my past 4 years. Look how much I've learned. It was hard. It was hard work. I've had long hours. I spent a lot of money. Met my wife. Whatever. I don't know. All these different things can happen. But in hindsight, but in the middle of it, it's really hard. And so you have the birth of the vision. I wanted to be a Chick-Fil-A owner operator. But how do I do that? I started with the team member at a Chick-Fil-A. Man, okay, the momentum's there. It's there. But then there was a time where I thought I would never become an operator. I was like, man, I was telling one of my friends, who's also my best man already. I said, dude, I can't do this. Like, I'm thinking I'm going to go and get another job. I said, I'm making $9 an hour right now, and I'm not paying my bills. This is only like 2 months into the process, and I was behind on my mortgage, and I'm not sure where everybody's belief is on with where their faith is. But let me just tell you, God is real. And when he's faithful to fulfill the calling that he's giving you. That's the real key. He will fulfill the calling, not you on your own. We can't do it on our own strength. We literally can't. But he sends people like my friend, to encourage during that time when you're going through the death of the vision, where you think it's not going to happen. And there was one point where I was behind on my mortgage because I have a property in Indianapolis that I lived in. I didn't want to rent at the time, so I bought a property or financed a property and lived in it. But when I left AT&T, income dropped dramatically, and I wasn't prepared. Remember, I wasn't prepared. But here's where sometimes that leap of faith, sometimes God still honors it because of the obedience there. When he told me to leave, I left. There were some financial struggles there that I had to rely on God to do. So one day, I didn't tell anybody what was going on, but one day I was at Chick-Fil-A. It was December 5th, 2009. This is when I knew I was on the right path because I was going through the valley of the shadow of the death of the vision. I was like, I'm going back to AT&T. I think I still have my contacts. I can get back in there. And December 5th, 2009, a lady walks into Chick-Fil-A and says, is a guy named William Taylor here? And I'm like, that's me. Like, who are you? like who is this? And she hands me an envelope, okay? And I said, I'm sorry, but who are you? She said, it doesn't matter. And she slowly walks out, and then she gets into like a Mercedes. It was like she was a young girl too. It was like maybe 2003, maybe 4 C-Class, C300, and she drives off. I'm like, what the heck? Who's? So I open it up. It's $2,000 cash and a scripture that said Isaiah 12 on it. I looked around. I said, excuse me one moment. I had a little praise break in the bathroom. I ain't gonna lie. I was crying, snot, tears, everything was going like, God, okay, you are with me. You got my back. Okay, God, okay, we gonna do this. We gonna do this. But I mean, it was one of those moments though that during the death of the vision, God sent somebody. Well, not only my friend, but he also sent somebody else who I still don't know to this day to bless me. My friend was in the same boat as me. He was believing something else, and he was doing something else. So we were kind of encouraging each other. And we both didn't have any money, and we were actually both in Indianapolis as well. So we didn't have any money, and we both were just living off ramen noodles and Chick-Fil-A, whatever I could eat for free. Working. I was working 14-hour days sometimes. And so, anyways, so that kind of helped me stay motivated. It was those types of instances that helped me stay motivated. It was having a little board on my wall that had not only Bible verses of things that I felt like were for me. They weren't just there were articles I've read about other people who had gone through similar circumstances where they didn't think they were going to make it, but they ended up making it. And so I read articles. I talked to Drew. Your dad was one of them that I called and just asked for. Not during that particular time, but over the years, I've just really reached out to people and just and asked for encouragement. And so that's how I stayed motivated. I had to keep the vision alive by keeping it literally in front of me. What am I trying to do? What am I passionate about? Where am I going? Where am I going? I mean, I ask myself that all the time. And even now, right now, I mean, I'm in the process of trying to get this new restaurant. That will be a brand new restaurant. It looks beautiful. I've seen the pictures of it already. And I'm going up against two other guys who are also in malls. And they are trying to get out of their malls as well. And so I was the first person to be interviewed. They came to my restaurant 2 weeks ago now, June 13th. So yeah, about 10 days ago. And they came to my restaurant and interviewed me inside the restaurant. And it was a pretty good interview, but I was, it's one of those things where I'm like, Lord, is this going to happen? My sales are down, my profits are down. It's hard finding good people these days to work, and to be on time, to be reliable. I don't think I can do this, and so I'm in that process yet again where it's been really tough. My wife and I have started having to go back and actually work in positions now because we're trying to save on labor costs. And so, that's not what I envisioned, when I first became an operator, and this is the first time I've had to do this in about 3 years, where I've had to get back into the operation and really, be like a team member again. And so it's been tough. The last 12 months have been really, really tough. But I have the picture of the restaurant that I'm going for on my computer screen. and so I mean I'm keeping it. I'm doing the same process all over again, and I'm doing the same exact thing. I'm calling people. I'm reading scripture. I'm just trying to stay encouraged myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for elaborating on that. Because I agree with that. Keeping the vision alive by keeping it in front of you. I think that's a really good kind of quote.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really interesting business model that Chick-fil-A has, where they make you humble yourself if you really want to get into ownership and say, step one, you have to learn the business inside and out, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel like that business model, I guess, prepared you for ownership? And do you think that's something that could be applied to someone who wants to start their own business that, you may not necessarily have the rules there, but you think that's a good step for everyone to consider? Or how do you feel about that business model, I guess?
I mean the business model as far as Chick-fil-A is concerned works. Chick-fil-A believes in slow and steady growth. So I mean we hit about $9 billion last year. And we were at like 2,200 stores, whereas KFC grew very rapidly, and they're only at like 1 billion, I think, maybe, and they've been around longer. And so it's one of those things where we had to set the right foundation first, and the right foundation was finding the right operators, finding the right people. So, I mean, the process of becoming an operator is hard, but they do that because we are at the very center of the success. Our restaurant would not be as our restaurant model, the business model would not be successful if it was just somebody that wasn't passionate about the Chick-fil-A brand, about what Chick-fil-A stands for, and when it comes to leadership development, when it comes to being involved in the community, when it comes to food safety and things like that. I mean, if it's just somebody that just want to be just an investor, but not an operator, it would not work this way. But Chick-fil-A, did it this way because they knew that in the long run, finding the right person to run the restaurant, and they knew that that person would find the right people to help him or her run the restaurant, and the probability of success was higher in that particular model. Is it right for everybody? No. Just like your thumbprint is different than mine, your journey towards success is going to be different. My journey for success is, and for me, reaching 700,000 a year or more is success for me. Whereas somebody might say 84,000 is success for me. And that's fine. I mean, you can do a lot with 84,000 too. I mean, if you manage your debt correctly and you keep it low and you only use less than 30% of it, you can live just as nice. I want to do more things. I want to just invest in real estate for sure. So my funds. I want to make more so that I can do that. It's just something I'm passionate about, and I love it. I love the idea of real estate and everything, and what I have experienced, I like about it. So I want more money to do things like that, but it's not for everybody. Not everybody is comfortable taking that kind of risk. Or with Chick-fil-A, it only costs 10,000, but not everybody has the patience to wait that long. I mean, it sometimes takes some operators 3 or 4 years to get to get the keys to the restaurant. I mean, I started in 2009, and then 5 years later, through jumping a couple of hoops, I became an operator. So it takes patience too. So it depends on your tolerance for patience. How patient can you be? So it really just depends on. I think it goes back to what I said earlier. Is why do you want to be an entrepreneur? What is the overall purpose behind it? For me, like I told you, I want to fund some of my real estate deals myself. I also want to develop people. I want people to help them understand that entrepreneurship isn't just about you. It's about bringing other people along with you. So you have to learn how to lead, and that's why some of the books I share with you guys in the email are all geared towards leadership, not about entrepreneurship. Because depending whatever industry you're in, you're going to have people that's going to have to work under you. You're going to have to rely on people to do certain aspects of whatever industry you're in. And if you can't lead them, if you can't successfully help them develop, then you're going to be doing it all by yourself, and you're going to get burnt out. And that's the number one cause of burnout, is trying to do it all on your own and micromanaging. You don't want to do that. People do not respond well to micromanaging. Trust me, I know. And so I want to do that. That's my overall purpose. Is my company is actually that my holding company is called the Taylor Legacy Group, and it's because I want to leave a legacy. And the legacy may not be a building or a car or a bunch of money, but I wanted to be the relationships. I wanted to be the fact that I was able to expose you to certain aspects of business or entrepreneurship early on that help propel you towards your goal in life. And so that's the big why behind it for me. You have to figure out what that is for you. Figure out why you want to be an entrepreneur. Who do you want to work with, and why? And then what do you want to do? And so I think the journey looks different for everybody, but as long as you understand why you're doing it, that's the big thing I think people would just miss.
Got you. Thank you for that description. So you highlighted how people plays a huge role in how successful you are as a business. How do you Do you have any tips or pointers on like how to, I guess, partner with the right people to make that vision a reality?
Yeah. So I mentioned this book earlier. This is the book. This should, like, other than the Bible, like I mean, I've taken notes in this book. I mean, I'm like, this is like my second Bible. uh, this is It says you can solve your number one problem. Knowing what to do is not the major challenge faced by executives, or in your case, entrepreneurs. Finding who to do it is, and that is the book right here. That I think is the key to helping you find the right person. Because the thing is, it's not about people. It's about finding the right people, the right person to do what you need to be done. Because anybody can push a button, but when you find the right person to push a button that wants to also help you figure out how to lower your food costs, or has insight into how to be more efficient over here, while they're pushing that button, you found the right person. Now it takes time, it takes patience yet again, and this book takes you through several steps on how to do that. It even gives you templates for questions to ask when you're recruiting. One of the number one places you find people is through your own personal network. I think 70% of, I think it says 70% of top executives at the time this book was written, which was written in, it was written in, I think 2000 something. So it's kind of older. It's kind of older book, but at the time this book was written, 70%, 7 out of 10 top executives found people through their own personal network, through their own recruiting. Oh, sorry, this book was written in 2008. 2008. So during that time frame, I mean, you had Apple was hitting at all-time high, Amazon was still rising. Those people found the right people through their own personal network. And this book gives you ways on how to ask those questions when you're networking with people. When you're out there at networking events, it'll give you some questions to just ask to see if this person could be a good person on your team. So I'm always recruiting. Matter of fact, even on this meeting right now, I'm looking at some of these. I'll ask some questions earlier because I wanted to get kind of your background and kind of what's some, how does your brain tick? And a lot of you studied engineering, which is great. I could use that. And so, I mean, I'm always recruiting. Erica gets mad at me. My wife gets mad at me sometimes because I'll be at a restaurant or I'll be in Whole Foods. I know people probably think I'm in a Ponzi scheme, like, no knock to people in Amway, but Amway people do this all the time. They're in a grocery store, and they'll just come up to you and start talking. I do the exact same thing, except I'm actually, I actually have a different kind of business that requires certain skills, certain very specific skills. But anyways, long story short, because Chick-fil-A is a business, it's more than just making chicken, right? We have to manage food costs, labor costs, inventory, and so my new location, I'm going to be looking for a CFO. I'm going to be looking for a COO, like a chief operating officer, to help me run the day to day. I'm going to be looking for a marketing director and a hospitality director. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to have. I need people with those types of skill sets because we're going to be doing a higher volume. So I'm always recruiting people, and this book gave me a template and a system for helping me find the right people. Now it's taken me a while, and I still haven't found everybody. I started reading this book back in November, and so I started putting this process into place officially in January. And so far, I've been able to find or identify 2 people that this book will call an A player. But it's taken me like 4 months. So I'm still recruiting. I'm still asking people and meeting people on a daily basis. And so this book will help you a lot. So I recommend getting this book, getting on audible.com. I mean, however way you feel necessary, get it. Another book is this is a book that's done in house at Chick-fil-A. We have our own leadership development department that gives me a lot of tools and a lot of things to to utilize for helping me find good people, helping me develop them. So this is another book. A little bit, it's kind of cheesy, but it has a lot of good principles in it, though. And that's what I look for, is our principles. Because principles are staples, you know. And so that's another one. The Talent Magnet: How to Attract and Keep the Best People. Another key about people is knowing when to end it. So sometimes you may make that hiring mistake. You may have the wrong partner or whatever it might be. Well, this book talks about how to end it. You know, sometimes you got to part ways. There's a right way and a wrong way to do that. The wrong way could sometimes end in lawsuits. The right way, you guys leave amicably and you leave on good terms. No lawsuits involved. You know, you still respect each other. You can't always avoid that, but this book will give you some principles, yet again, that I think would help you with having to let go of somebody or part ways with a partner or something like that. So, and I can't find my other book, The Way of the Shepherd. That's another book too. So anyway, I do a lot of reading, as you see. Right now, I just downloaded audible.com because I've gotten a little bit busier. So when I'm running or in the car with Luke and he's taking a nap or something like that, I'm listening to these books, taking notes. I mean, you got to learn. You got to be willing to learn a lot, and you know, can never learn too much.
For sure. Thank you for that. And for the people who called in and may not be able to see, so I think the first book was called Who.
Oh, yeah, the first book was called Who, and the author is Jeff Smart. Jeff is spelled with Geoff, Jeff Smart, and Randy Street. And it's just a big on the outside of the book it just says Who, WHO, solving your number one problem.
Okay.
And then the other book was called Talent Magnet: How to Attract and Keep the Best People. That's by Mark Miller. And then another book is called Necessary Endings by Dr. Henry Cloud. The employees, businesses, and relationships that all of us have to give up in order to move forward. So that's a very important book because sometimes you have to let go. So Necessary Endings by Dr. Henry Cloud. The other book is called The Way of the Shepherd, and I can't remember the author. I can't find it. I think I gave it to him. I haven't gotten it back yet. But it's called The Way of the Shepherd. If you Google it, it'll come right up. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
It has yeah. So yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. So now we're going to open it up to any questions for anyone who joined online.
Yes, sir.
Does anybody have any questions that you either like to pop in the chat or just kind of speak up on?
Yes, I have a question. This is John.
Hey, John.
Hey, so I know all of us are single. We don't have kids or a wife, but I thought it was very interesting how you're able to go for this multi-year process, have more commitment, have your wife involved, and still raising a toddler, and you're still able to kind of be on this rise and kind of still realizing your dream. Can you talk more about that and how you're able to kind of manage all that, your dreams as well as your commitments to your family?
Oh man, it's hard, but nothing in life that's worth it is easy, right? You know, I mean, you know, you look at the birthing process of a woman, you know, giving birth to a baby. It's a painful process, but it's so worth it. I mean, and it's like, and then you know, in the process, you can't do anything. You can't do anything to help. So you're kind of like feeling the pain in a different way, but it's so worth it. I mean, and in the same way, managing the household, the restaurant, my own personal goals is a challenge, and it gets frustrating sometimes because you have to relinquish a lot of your time that you would typically use if you were single, you know, to yourself. And so so right now, if you guys, and I think there's one lady on this call too, if you all are single and without kids, now is the time to get it in. I mean, yes, make time for your personal, you know, development and sometimes self-care is what I call it, self-care. But the other 6 days or the other days that you don't have self-care day is need to be putting that groundwork in, because once you have a child, once you get married or in a serious relationship, all great things, I mean, very wonderful things, it's going to be, it becomes really challenging to do. And that's why I'm saying, and I'm 33. And so we got married at 24 and 20, I think that she was 23, I was 24. I mean, there was one time where we didn't have a car. Okay. I mean, my wife is the epitome of Proverbs 31, which is a book in the Christian Bible that talks about a virtuous woman, a woman of noble character. That anyway, I can go on. I can preach about that one for a minute. That's a very important thing for a man to understand, that they have to reflect that in order for the woman to actually be that. But anyways, long story short, though, it has been challenging, and my wife is very dedicated because and here's the deal, though. My wife said, "Look, Will, I will help you, but the first thing we're getting when we get this new store and we're making, $40,000-$50,000 a month or whatever the case may be." She sent me a snapshot of a Louis Vuitton bag. So she has her vision, okay? She has her vision right in front of her, a snapshot of a Louis Vuitton bag that she's like, you're going to buy this for me. I'll go in and make some prep today. I'll make the salads and wraps I'll help them out today. But just remember, when we get this restaurant, this is the bag I want. Okay. And so, and the same thing happened before I became an operator. I was like, Erica, I know we're about to get married. I know I'm only making like $9. I'm about to get a raise though. I'm about to get 10. I'm about to get $10 an hour. And I know you're about to move out to Indianapolis. I do have a house, but it ain't the biggest house, it ain't the best house, but I will get us back to the East Coast. That was her main thing. Indianapolis was really hard for her, when it came to friendships, but the vision was, I will help you with Chick-Fil-A, but you got to get me back to the East Coast. And so that's what I did. I said, okay, I'm gonna work hard, and I did, and she supported me. She nannied as well. We only had one car at the time, and so I would ride my bike to work, and she would come and pick me up, or she would ride her bike to her nannying gig or whatever, and I would go pick her up after work. We made it work. I mean, Erica is. I mean, it was hard. I mean, but she was dedicated, and she was very loyal, and has really been my biggest supporter. I mean, literally my biggest supporter. My mom is a close second, but Erica has been in the thick of it. I mean, during the times frames that we're running behind on bills, and she would pick up another babysitting job or something, or she would come and help out in the restaurant with my operator and just pick up whatever she needed. You need me to clean the toilets? Okay, I'll do it. She hates toilets, but you need me to clean the toilets? I'll do it. And so very dedicated. It has been challenging though. I'm not saying it's easy. We definitely have had a lot of prayer and a lot of people like my Uncle Barry and Aunt Daria talking to us, and because they work together as well, my Uncle Barry and Aunt Daria in their business, and so they've kind of given us some advice. I mean, finding a good mentor. I always tell people this: if you want to be a good basketball player, you have to find the best coaches. And so if you want to be a good entrepreneur, or the best entrepreneur for your particular industry or whatever it is you desire, find great coaches. Find people, find couples, find single men, find single women, whatever it is the case may be, that's on that same journey or is already where you want to be, or a little bit further along than where you currently are, and learn from them. Ask them lots of questions. Do like what you're doing right now, and because it's not easy. You are going to have some troubles yourself, but it's okay to struggle. It's just not okay to struggle alone. And so finding those right people to come alongside of you and help you and give you insight and talk to your special significant other, and to encourage them is really important. And Chick-Fil-A has a great network like that too. So I have an internal advisory board that I've developed that we talk quarterly, and these operators and their spouses meet with me and Erica and kind of give us their stories and encourage us. Hey, you guys can do it. We were in a mall too. We were doing, we weren't making any money at all. We had 3 kids at the time. You only have 1. We were going through this, but now, I mean, here's where we are. So I mean, it's just you gotta have those people around you to help you in those hard times during the death of the vision, like I told you.
For sure. All right. So I think we hit the timeline. Are there any last questions? Maybe we can get like one more in. Anybody else online has questions? Going once, going twice.
I do have one more question.
Yeah.
So kind of looking back at your journey to where you are now and where you want to go, what are the things you've done to kind of keep it alive and keep it from dying and burning out?
Great question. I have had to take some days for myself, which it sounds selfish, but at the same time, it's like being the leader of my family and the business. The Bible talks about the people were perishing because they had no vision. And so it's important as the leader to keep that vision alive by any means necessary. So if that means, hey, honey, look, I need to go to a movie. I need some time myself to just think outside the box a little bit, because right now we are at a point to where we got to do something different for our sales. We got to do something different for the culture of our restaurant, the culture of our business. We got to do something different. And so you got to take some time out for yourself, self-care day, which may not come, every single week, may not come every single month, but you gotta figure out some type of time frame to get it in, to keep it alive. Making another board like this, where you took your pictures on the board, some scriptures, some quotes. I've created a Word document of just encouraging quotes by other entrepreneurs. Oh, here's one thing too. The productivity planner. This is called the what shall I do? Back up 1 second. This is called the productivity planner, and this helps me be more productive throughout my day. It helps me focus because as an entrepreneur, as a leader, my attention is divided a lot. So I had to figure out a system to help me be focused. And so this book right here helps me be focused. On every page, it has different quotes up there. So reading some of these quotes up on the top of this page, like this says, concentrate all your thoughts upon the work in hand. The sun's rays do not burn until brought to a focus. Alexander Graham Bell. And so you have different quotes on each page that kind of helps me as well, that keeps me encouraged and inspired throughout the death of the vision time frame. And so it's called the Productivity Planner. If you Google it, you can get it on. I found it on Instagram actually. It was just a little random post on Instagram, and I Googled it and I bought it off Amazon.com. But it's called Productivity Planner. It's a great way to stay focused, a great way to be inspired. So yeah, I mean, you had to figure out a way. Like I said, everybody's way is different. You can Google it too. How to stay motivated. I mean, something simple like that. You can Google it. But that's just some ways that I do it. I have an office space downtown in Charlottesville as well, where it has windows and just it's a shared meeting space. So other entrepreneurs are also meeting there and have meetings, and so that also helps fuel me, inspires me, being among other entrepreneurs. The Chamber of Commerce, they have a African American chamber or a division of the Chamber of Commerce, meeting the other African Americans here in Charlottesville that are trying to be entrepreneurs. That inspires me. So there are a lot of different avenues to do it. You just got to figure out what's right for you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Will. Do you have any more lasting statements or any marketing material for us?
Marketing material, you know what? I actually, because I took a break from our social media, because here's what I realized. For us, I wasn't being as efficient and effective with it. I think I sent on the email the acronym FEEL, FEEL. Well, that stands for focused, efficient, effective, and learning. So I asked my team leaders, how are you feeling today? How do you feel? Meaning, how are you remaining focused on the task at hand? How are you being efficient and effective towards reaching those goals that I've given you? And then how are you practicing the commitment to learning? And what are you learning? What are you reading? What videos are you watching online to learn, to add to your repertoire of leadership for this restaurant and for your own self? And so I say all that to say my social media, because we lost one of my leaders that was actually focusing on that for us. Because of no focus on it now, we weren't being as efficient and effective on it. So I don't have a lot of social media presence right now, although I do have an Instagram page personally that I post more on because it's easier for me to do that. I think my Instagram page is Will MJ Taylor or Will Taylor, and my Facebook page is Will, the letter N, and then Erica Taylor, ERICA Taylor. So if you wanted to follow me, I post things on those things for my personal self. But as far as my business, the Chick-Fil-A, I don't have a focus on that, so that I can be efficient and effective on it. So,
okay.
But Will Taylor, for Instagram, and then Will N Erica Taylor for Facebook.
Okay, gotcha. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate this call.
Hey, thank y'all. This has been great. I learned some things myself. The Google Meetup. I'm going to be downloading this as well. If y'all have any other questions though that you weren't able to ask, I think let's see. Is there a way for me to put my? Well, I'll just give you my email address. My email address is will.taylor, TAYLOR, at CFA Cat Frank Apple franchisee.com. So it's will.taylor at cfafranchisee.com. So if you have any other questions or you want to talk offline about some things later on, just email me and we'll set up a time to talk, and we'll go from there.
For sure. And I have your info too, so I can send that out to everybody. All
right, perfect. That works good. That works good. Man, I'm really proud of y'all. Have a great rest of your Saturday, and I appreciate the opportunity to share my story.